What's up, guys? I know you guys have been patiently waiting, so thank you for your patience. But believe us when we tell you, we've been working our tails off to get this unit configured and properly working for you guys, so you guys don't have to do anything but just turn on and play. So in this video, what I'd like to do first is just kind of give you guys a quick rundown on how to navigate and use the system itself. So first things first, let's talk about the buttons. Let's just make sure that the focus is there. There we go. So you got your D-pad, your directional pad, you have your analog stick, you have your F keys. Oh, by the way, that's just it's not, the screen's not cracked. That's just like the plastic screen protector. So yeah, you got your F keys, F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6. These are used for hotkeys within systems and within the menus. You have your ABXY buttons here, and then you have your L1, L2, your power button, your headphone jack, your USB-C charging port, you have your USB port, you have your R2, and you have your R1 button. And also in the back, you have your SD card. So to turn this thing on, just push the power button for about half a second. You'll feel a click, you'll also hear a click. And once you do that, you'll see the light in the back turn on, and then you will also see the boot up screen. You should probably turn the brightness down on this. Let's see how it's at, where it's at. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. But to start, first thing I want to tell you guys about is the F2 button. That is a universal hotkey, and it applies to within game, within the system menu, and everything. So what you use that for is the volume and brightness. So if I hold down the F2 button, probably better if I do it this way, hold down the F2 button, and then if I push the D-pad up, you'll see the brightness going up. I'm gonna put it back down, and then while holding down the F2 button, I can push the D-pad left, and then that turns the volume down. And then I can turn the D-pad up to turn the volume up. So I'll leave it at 68%. And now navigation, very simple. You know, you hit the D-pad left and right, or you can use the analog stick left and right. And also in the bottom here, you'll see a couple of options that you can choose. First things first, the main menu is the F6 button here. If I push that, that will take you to the main menu. You can navigate into a menu by using a directional pad, and then let's say if we want to go into UI settings, you can hit the A button to get in, or you can hit the B button to get out. So if I want to go back in, I'll hit the F6 button and then go down to UI settings. I'm going to hit the A button to go in. And then if I want to change, let's say the appearance, you can go into the UI settings and then go into theme configuration. And then, oops, sorry, push that twice. You have, excuse me, you have many different, options here to basically change up the look and feel of the interface. So let's say if I want a smaller system icon, so I'll choose small, and then you can either navigate to the back option there, or you can hit the B button to go back. B button again, B button again. And as you can see, it's a smaller system icon. I'm actually going to change this back. So let's hit the F6, UI, A, theme configuration. Also, okay, well, let's do this first. Let's change it back to the big icons. And I'm actually going to remove the background video. And for the purpose of this tutorial, go hit the back. I went to select basic. I'm gonna hit the A button to select it, and then now it's set to basic. I'm gonna hit the B button. Actually, no, I'm gonna navigate. I'm hitting R2 to kind of page down, navigate down to back, and then I'm gonna hit the A button to actually go back. And then I'm gonna hit the B button to go back, B button to go back. So now we're back at the main system screen, no video background, and if you remember, we just disabled that. So here you can navigate through the various systems. Let's say if I want to go into an arcade, go into the arcade catalog, I would navigate to it, and then I can push the A button or the A button there to select that. And now that will bring me into the catalog for all the arcade games. Now I can navigate in here by using the directional pad, or I can use the analog stick. One thing to note here is that some systems have a large catalog, like we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of games, like Super Nintendo, which has like 700 plus games. But let's say for this one, arcade, if we actually hit the B button to go back to the system menu, and if you look at the bottom there, it tells you exactly how many games there are for this specific system. So the catalog itself has 400 games. I'm going to go back into it. Now, the issue here, let's say there's 400 games, it's going to be tough, or it's going to be painful trying to find a game that you know is in here, but you have to kind of scroll all the way through. So in this case, what you can do is if you hit the F1 button while you're in this menu, it will show the options specifically for that section. You can navigate to, let's say, a letter, so a game that starts with, let's say T. I'm going to hit the A button to select, and it'll take me right down to where the T's are. Now, the other thing you can do is actually change the look and feel for this specific section. So for the arcade catalog, I'm going to hit the F1 button once again, and then if you look at the game list view style, right now we have it set to automatic, and the automatic is taken from that previous section that we were at where we adjusted the theme. But we can set this specific system to a different view. I'm going to push the A button to get into it, and here are the various displayed view styles. So let's choose basic, for example. I'm going to hit basic. So I pushed A to select basic, and now I'm going to hit the B button to get out, and this is the basic view. You see a lot more games. It's a lot more simpler, but some people don't like that. So let's go ahead and push F1 again. Oops, sorry, I pushed it twice. And then let's go down to game list view style. I'm going to push the A button, and then let's choose detail this time. See how that looks. I'm going to hit once I highlight it, I'll hit the A button, and I'm going to push the B button now to get out of it. And this is what detail view looks like. It has kind of like a little synopsis on the right, the game name on the left. The background is the like a screenshot or the box art of the game itself. Now, some games may have a video background, and actually all games did at some point, but we decided to remove video backgrounds because they took a ton of space. And believe it or not, let's say something like Super Nintendo, which is like, I think close to 700 or 800 megs, the videos for those games were, I think it was like 1.2 or 1.3 gigs. So almost double the amount compared to the games itself. So we decided not to include all the video snaps and just do a few of them per system. So that way the video shows up on the system's menu itself. So yeah, so that's how, that's a little bit about the display itself. Now, I'm just gonna go back one more. The other, so we talked about the hotkey here to turn the volume up and the brightness. We talked about the main menu, which is there. And then the other option or the other button that you can use in this view is the F1 button. So you remember when we went into the game, F1 showed the options specifically for this system. I'm gonna hit the B button to go back. Now, once more, but if we hit the F1 in this view, in this menu where the systems are, it gives you the quit screen where you can shut down, restart, whatever. So you can either navigate down to the back or you can hit the B button to get out. Okay, so that's a little bit about navigation. Let's actually go into a game. So I am going to go into, let's say, arcade, and I don't know. Oh yes, so the other thing, you have your R, R1, R2, L2, L1. Those buttons are, you can use those buttons here as well. So if I hit the L2 button here, it'll actually page up. If I hit the R2 button, it'll page down. Now, if I hit the R button, it'll go to the next system. Now, if I hit the L button, it'll go to the previous system. Okay. Now, let's go into a game. What is this? Super Jumper. I don't know what to play. There's so many to choose from. Sure, let's do Turbo. So once you select the game, once you highlight the game, I'm actually going to go back and kind of do that again. So don't mind me. I'm going to push that twice to get out, and I'll explain exactly what I did there. So you can navigate to a game, and once you find the game you like, you can follow these instructions here. What says to launch the game is the A button. So I'm going to push the A button, and that will launch the game. Now, keep note, there's two things. Just remember that aqua bar that just appeared. So there's two ways that games are run here. One way is through a thing called RetroArc, which runs most of this, the emulators on this system. And another way is standalone emulators, which is run by a standalone emulator. So RetroArc has a collection of emulators, whereas standalone is just by itself. And the reason why I told you to keep an eye on that, the blue bar that came up there, when that shows up, that's a good indication, or that's an indication that the game is being run through RetroArc. And when it's being run through RetroArc, then there's a few buttons that you know will be consistent no matter which game you play. So first things first, most games, actually all games, will have the F3 and F4 buttons configured as select and start. In an arcade game, select is used for quarters. And the other button to keep note of is the F5 button, which is the hotkey button. And the hotkey button is used for things like save states and fast forward or exiting the game itself. So with that said, let's get into some gameplay, and I'll show you guys how to use save states. So I'm going to push start. Oh, remember the universal hotkey, which is the F2 button. And if you remember, the F2 button is used to turn the brightness up, turn the brightness down, turn the volume up, and turn the volume down. So I'm just going to leave that. Okay, it's a bit hard playing through the screen. Ah. Please don't mind me. Nah. There we go. Anyways, so if you're at a certain point in a game and you want to save, and you like where you are and you want to save it for later, remember you have the hotkey here, which is the F5 button. If you hold that down, you can use the up and down arrow keys to determine or to put yourself in a specific save slot. And there are a ton of save slots, so you know you can use multiple save slots if you'd like. So I'm going to hit the I'm going to hold down the F5 button, and then I'm going to push up on the D-pad, and it tells you I'm in save slot 0. I'm going to, while still holding that F5 button, I'm going to push down, and it's going to take me down to save slot 1. If I push it down again, it'll put me down to save slot 0. So how do you use save slots? Save slots, man, it's like a tongue twister. I'm going to hold down F5, and I want to save a slot at this point in the game. So in order to do that, hold down F5 and then R1. Right there it says save state slot 0. So we've saved our state. Now if I hit the enter button, let's just go into, I don't know, a certain part in the game, and you're like, you know what, I died or whatever, and you want to go back to that point in time where you saved that state. You can hold down the F5 button and then press L1, and voila, it says loaded state from slot 0. Now the other thing you can do is you can keep that where it is, but say if you progress a little bit more and you don't want to overwrite this specific point in time of your game, but you still want to save somewhere else, just in case, then what you want to do is choose another slot. So I'm going to hold down the F5 button. I'm going to go to 1. You know what? For the purpose of this example, I'll go to 2. And then now let's go to a different part into the game. And now I am going to hold down the F5 button, and I'm going to push down the R1 button, and it tells you save state to slot 2. Now, if I hold down the F5 button and I push L1, it took me right back to where I saved it. It says loaded state. Now, if you're like, you know what, I don't like where I am at this point, I want to go back even further. Remember, we saved a state in slot 0. So I'm going to hold down the F5 button. I'm going to push down. In slot 1 now. I'm going to push down again to go down to slot 2. And while still holding the F5, I'm going to push L1. And that took me back to that original save state that I had in slot 0. So that's save state in a nutshell. The other thing you can do while you're here is if you hold down select and start, that will take you into the RetroArc menu. And here you're kind of put into like a quick menu where you have options specific to the game itself. And this is where you can also do save states and fast forward and rewind and options and all that fun stuff. Now, if you push the B button, that will take you back up one menu and into the main menu of RetroArc. And here you have a way more options. You typically don't want to change anything in here because we've done our best to kind of set the configuration so you don't have to do anything. But one of the main reasons you want to be in here is probably to enter into NETPLAY, and we'll do a NETPLAY video later on. I feel like that'll be a longer discussion, but yeah, that's the main reason why you want to be in here, or you could change up your input, your buttons if you wanted to, or you could change up the core. If there's a game that's not running quite well, there are different cores or emulators that you can use to test to see if other games work, and I'll show you an example of that, and how to kind of tweak and whatnot to get the best gameplay. So if I want to get out of here, you'll notice that the B button doesn't work here because it's in a different system. So I'm going to navigate to here. You can go into quick menu. You can actually exit the game entirely from here by going into quit RetroArc there. But if I go into quick menu, you can just go back into resume if you like, or you can just hold down, select and start both together, and that will take you out. Now, there's a quicker way to exit the game, and you could you'll probably just do this anyway. It's a bit there's a few extra buttons that you push back there to actually exit the game, but there's a hotkey to actually exit the game here. So once again, the hotkey is F5. If you push F6, it'll tell you press it again to quit, and then you hit F6. So that's how you enter a game and exit a game. Now, the other thing that I would like to show you guys is the sleep mode. Now, to sleep, you can literally just press that once. Just a little one press. You don't have to hold it down. It'll put this unit to sleep, and you'll know that it's in sleep because the screen is blank and the light is there. Now, let's turn it back on. So if it's in sleep, all you got to do is, let me just move this back a little so you can focus. Push it once, and then you'll notice that the unit will turn back on. So that's how you enter a game, exit a game, save state, put the unit to sleep, turn the volume up and down, the brightness level as well, how to adjust your theme. You know what, let me go back in there and change it back to video because that's the way I like it. I go down to UI settings, theme configuration, and then system background. I will choose random video. You can do random images as well, but I like the video. I pushed A, and then I'm going to go down. I'm going to hit A on back, and that'll take me out. Back again, and voila. So that's how you do that. The other thing, what you want to do is, if you want to do NETPLAY, make sure you're on the internet. Make sure your unit is on your Wi-Fi network. So I'm going to push F6, and then I'm going to go down to network. I'm actually going to blank this section here because I believe it's my IP address. Yeah. So my Wi-Fi is connected. You can choose your SSID and then put in your key, and you're connected to your network that way. And then you'll see an IP address on the top right-hand side, which is your IP address or the IP address of the unit itself. Remember that, or you know where to get it, but you're gonna need that specifically if you want to do NETPLAY. There is something that you need to do on your router. It's called port forwarding, but we'll go into that in detail in another video. It's actually, you don't necessarily need port forwarding to do NETPLAY, but I highly recommend it. The gameplay is just way smoother on NETPLAY. If you port forward. So yeah, with that said, I am going to shut down the system. So you can shut down by pressing F6 if you like, and then going down to quit, or if I'm going to push F6 again to get back out of there, I'm going to push F1, and then I can shut down this way. Really shut down? Yes. So yeah, so that's how how to use this thing in a nutshell. If you guys have any questions, just feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.